pregnancy. Um, what do you have to say? I mean, everybody gets into situations that it's hard to get out of, but I noticed that the majority of them end up keeping their child, and it makes it rough. Yes,
which is good because I'm against abortions. I don't think that it's right. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but the way I was raised is it's kind of hard, and it's very upsetting that you see people, or especially politicians, and I don't want to get into strict politics, but they encourage kids to use condoms, and I think the parents should encourage the children not to have sex before marriage, because if you stop that right there, then you're not going to have teen pregnancy. You need to teach your children's morals first before they get married, and then children afterwards. It should be marriage and then children afterwards. But it just happened. It's very sad to say. But all we can do is educate the children.
Teen pregnancy.
Man, if she was alive today and she had said this, she definitely would have been unalived or at least canceled. Especially in today's time, it definitely would have happened for her. It's unfortunate what happened to her in 1995, where she was shot due to jealousy and also, more than meets the understanding or more than meets the eye from someone who was deranged and most likely put under programming. Selena Quintanilla was born in Freeport, Texas in 1971, and she pretty much became the queen of Tejano music just based off of her style and, her God-given abilities. She passed away at the age of 23 in 1995. On the date of March 31st, that date has a special significance when it comes to certain public figures, certain public prominent figures. They died on that, on the date of March 31st. March 31st, it's a thinly veiled way of signaling the number 33 because the number 1 is a placeholder in that aspect. But it's more than that. My point is just pointing towards the commonalities, especially when it comes to these celebrities who died on March 31st, like Nipsey Hussle and J.P. Morgan and Jesse Owens, so on and so forth. Nipsey Hussle died at the age of 33, 10 years after Selena, just when it comes to the age, not actuality, because he died in 2019. And also, it was based in the worship or the sacrifice and veneration of the moon goddess. That's why you see Selena here on a horse. The white horse represents the moon goddess. That's what it represents. Epona or Rhiannon. Same thing with Nipsey Hussle, where you seen him on a horse with his wife. That signified a sacrifice. That's what it did. That's what it represented. As you can see, the beautiful Selena representing Epona. She represents Epona. She's literally on a horse. That's what Epona means, on a horse. She was sacrificed to the moon goddess. That's why she's on the white horse. And like I said, the commonalities is stark just when it comes to certain images that we saw leading up to the death of Nipsey Hussle. It reminded me of these images just when it comes to Selena, because all of this stuff is esoteric. All of this stuff is esoteric. And, we don't want to take away from what she said just in regards to what you saw in the beginning, because that had a lot to do with her death as well. Just her unwillingness to capitulate to, what they wanted to do in regards to pushing society further with this whole progressive nonsense about, allowing women to do what they want to do with their bodies and aborting fetuses, which we understand is more of a agenda as opposed to freedom for the woman. It's agenda driven when it comes to killing fetuses and the sacrifice to, the god of child sacrifice, that being Molech. That's what that's really based in. It's esoteric as well as agenda driven. So this right here is the Welsh goddess known as Rhiannon. In the Celtic region, she's known as Epona. The term epos just means horse, and ona means on, so it just literally means on a horse. She was sacrificed to the mother goddess known as Epona or Rhiannon, the moon goddess, also known as Selene. Selene is the moon goddess. It's just another composite. It's a Roman version of the same entity. Rhiannon, Epona, Selene, all the same thing, just in different regions. Worship, under veneration. But the same thing when it comes to the horse and the moon, the color white is associated with the moon. That's why with Nipsey Hussle, you saw those images and he had on an all white just as his wife because it represented sacrifice. After Kobe died, you saw Dwayne Wade and LeBron James in the color white, in regards to their reaction, where they went on camera and talked about their sadness and their condolences. They wore white because white signifies sacrifice to the moon. Kobe Bryant also was sacrificed to the sun, but that's a whole nother video. There's a lot of elements to that. These things that come into play in regards to the esoteric is something that they uphold. You may not believe in it, you may not understand it, but it's something that they uphold. And this is why I highlight it, because they push it. We already proved it with different videos in regards to XXX, aka 666. Is so much to everything that you see. Never look at things as what it is when it comes to the appearance. Always consider that there's other elements to what you see, especially when it comes to the news and how it's being disseminated and how it's being broadcasted and why it's such a big deal. Like the whole wildfire in LA and California, whatever, it's more than meets the eye with that because it's nationally it's nationally broadcasted. It's broadcasted on a big scale because of what they're planning to do when it comes to LA with the whole smart cities and whatnot. We already understand that we live in a nefarious world, a world that's based off of lies and trickery and deception. So when it comes to even small things like this, not even necessarily small, but just little, pieces of information like this, they don't want you to understand it because they don't want you to understand what this world is really galvanized by. That being false gods, falsehoods, so on and so forth. But they get real power from it because the Most High controls the left hand. The Most High controls Satan. The Most High controls Lucifer. The Most High controls the quote-unquote devil. Everything is under the auspices of the Heavenly Father, pursuant to Isaiah 45:7. But yeah, man, this right here is the goddess known as Epona or Rhiannon, more so the moon god or the horse goddess when it comes to fertility and power, so on and so forth. Also associated with Selene, Selene being associated with Hecate. We did a video on XXXTentacion going into certain things that he had to do that was based in veneration of Hecate in order for him to get out of prison. You know what I mean? So that's what this world is about. That's what this world is about. But let's get more into the Selena thing, or more so, the connections, just when it comes to the underlying. And it's small. All white and the white horse signifying death, signifying what was to come for Mr. Nipsey Hussle in regards to his sacrifice to the moon goddess Selene or Luna or Rhiannon. The horse goddess / moon goddess, also associated with Hecate, goddess of war and the moon, and knowledge, wisdom, milk. Milk is white, that's why it's also associated with the moon. But Nipsey Hussle, he was sacrificed to the moon goddess, that's what it was. Died at the age of 33. 33 representing 6. Also with Selena, she died at 23. 23 also representing 6 for Saturn. Right. And just to add, speaking of the esoteric, there was a book that was written by Miss Maria Celeste Arajas, where she goes into certain aspects of the occult in which Yolanda, Miss Saldivar was a part of, and also how it had to do with the death of Miss Selena. And I took some notes on it. It's very, very interesting. I just went into certain excerpts I was able to get into and find. I don't have the whole book, but I was able to get into certain excerpts and just took some notes. Very, very interesting stuff. And when it comes to the connection between those things and, the practices, it's obviously a corollary thing. It's obviously, it matches up. And it's also funny how you have this story about Miss Yolanda. Let's just get into it. It says, Selena's killer, Yolanda Saldivar, up for parole 30 years after Tano's star shooting death. Saldivar, 64, was sentenced to life in prison in 1995. She is currently in a parole review process, according to her inmate page with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The Texas board will review Saldivar's eligibility for parole on March 30th, 30 years after she fatally shot Selena in a Corpus Christi hotel, according to the Criminal Justice Department. You know, the 33 is prominent here, man. March 30th, that's 3-3. The zero is just a placeholder. March 30th, 3-3. 30 years. Corpus Christi, CC 33. So this was all Masonic. Let's get furthermore into it just in regards to Miss Selena and her attire.
Selena? Okay, at least that makes me feel like I won it. I'm sorry it took a long time. I was in the ladies' room. I'm just joking. What it counts, I'm here, okay? Once again, I'd like to thank my record company, Capitol Records, for having so much faith. It's already been 4 wonderful years. We wouldn't change a thing for nothing. I also like to thank my sponsors, Coca-Cola Classic, and of course I'd like to thank all the public who, excuse me for doing that, for supporting Selena's Dinos, and I also like to thank all the fans in Mexico for giving us such a wonderful reception. También para todos del Valle, and of course, last but not least, I'd like to thank my family, my parents. I love you so much, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me the talent and that we all have. AB and my sister, and of course AB for writing the songs. Thank you. And I'd like to thank my husband. I love you.
As you guys saw in that last shot where you see the design of her dress representing the Baphometic sigil, the Baphomet sigil, or the head of the Baphomet, just lets you know that she was someone who was aligned with the occult. She was a Luciferian. All these entertainers that sign that contract, they have to get down with the programming. They have to. They have to promote Luciferian imagery. They have to promote this lifestyle. They have to. I don't care who you are. If you sign that contract, especially if you're being turned over to, these Caucasian overlords, these Caucasian Jews who run these companies, who believe in these things, they have to make you push it. You have to push it. You have to. I don't care what celebrity it is. Through the beginning of the inception of the entertainment industry, anyone who's got down with the programming, who wanted to be on TV, who wanted to make it big, they had to promote stuff like this. They have to. Some of them do it, and it's not even something that they willingly want to do. They just have to do it. That's why they all slaves. While the eponymous Baphomet had been depicted as a goat-headed figure since at least 1856, the goat's head inside an inverted pentagram was largely popularized by the modern Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. Founded in 1966, the church adopted the sigil of the Baphomet as the official insignia. 1966, 1966 is 1666. 1 is the placeholder, so that's 666. As well as 1966, 66 representing Molech, the goat god, god of sacrifice, so on and so forth. They continue to push this numerology, even from back then, especially when it comes to the inception of the Church of Satan. Founded in 1966, the church adopted the sigil of the Baphomet as the official insignia, describing the symbol as the preeminent visual distillation of the iconoclastic philosophy of Satanism. And this is what they push, these celebrities, Luciferianism, Satanism, all under the same umbrella. Yolanda Saldivar, born September 19, 1960, is an American former nurse who murdered Tejano singer Selena on March 31st, 1995 in Corpus Christi, Texas. Corpus Christi, body of Christ, corpse of Christ, the dead body of Christ. And the Mashiach, or Christ, the chosen, Yahushua, He died at the age of 33. And, the theme of 33 is prevalent just when it comes to this story here, as well as other stories revolved around the sacrifice of these celebrities, these entertainers. The number 33, that Christ consciousness aspect. On the left-hand side, going into the aspect of Heru, just when it comes to the veneration and the real understanding of what quote-unquote Christ represents on the left hand, that being the sun god, enlightenment, Heru, Horus. The number 33 is based on the understanding of enlightenment, self-discovery, transformation, death. That's what it signifies. And this is also in reference to the Santa Morte, I believe that's how you pronounce it, which represents the holy death. Is pretty much, a celebration in which the Mexicans, or in Mexico, I should say, they celebrated on November 1st and 2nd, day after Halloween. It represents the Day of the Dead, but the holy death. So it's very, very interesting. Born in San Antonio, Saldivar had been the president of Selena's fan club and a manager of her boutiques, but she lost both positions a short time before the murder, when the singer's family discovered that she had been embezzling money from both organizations. Grimy practices is something that's a part of the reason as to why Miss Selena passed away. But that's something that's normal when it comes to the entertainment industry. You have a lot of grimy people that, these entertainers align themselves with, and it's very unfortunate. But this is something that's definitely aligned with the esoteric. Watching the Spanish news, they doing tarot card readings on Yolanda Saldivar. Yeah, Yolanda Saldivar was an alleged Luciferian. She read tarot cards for and to Selena. She turned her out into the occult, and proof of that is that dress that you saw her wearing, where it references the Baphomet. You don't wear dresses like that unless you are aligned and you are a part of the team. And you have to be groomed. You have to be taught. She was most likely taught by Yolanda and others. Yolanda definitely was a Luciferian, allegedly. But we're going to get more into the tarot cards, or just one of the tarot cards that really matched up with, what occurred with Miss Selena Quintanilla. So this right here is the major arcana. It's the 13th card representing death and rebirth, transformation. And this is a theme that we continue to, touch on or broach on because it represents the number 33, enlightenment, self-discovery, so on and so forth. And this is associated with Miss Selena and her whole story, just when it comes to what we covered, as well as other celebrities and their stories in regards to their deaths and whatnot. The number 33 being a prominent number associated with, the whole situation. So this is aligned with just the whole aspect of what took place with Miss Selena, because death obviously is a part of her story, as well as the understanding of rebirth and transformation, just because of how significant the number 33 is in the whole storyline or situation or the occurrence with Miss Selena. But as you can see right here, the white horse as well. You see, we touched on the white horse. The white horse symbolizes death. That's what it symbolizes. And this is my first time actually looking at this card right here. You know what I mean? So it just adds up. It confirms the things I say. Just when it comes to my understanding, the white horse represents death. It represents death, transformation. That's what it represents. And this white goes into the understanding of the moon goddess, that being Selene. Selena, remember?